Okay, I want to begin with a question today. I have a question for you. You've been reading the Apology. You've now read the Apology and the Credo. I've had a little chance to think about these works. I'd just like to do a piece of survey research. How many of you, just show of hands is all I need, how many of you believe Socrates is innocent and should be acquitted? Okay. And how many of you believe he is guilty and more or less got what he deserved? Higher, please? Okay. Not exactly the same proportion, I think. Somewhat a greater number believe in his innocence than in the Athenian jury, obviously. But let me just ask you in the brown shirt, just curious, why do you think he is innocent and should be acquitted?
Well, I felt that he outlined his defense fairly well
Mm-hmm.
in the Apology in terms of what he had done. It seemed to me that the accusations that were brought against him were based more on personal grievances and grudges, as the politics and attack oftentimes flows to society, and not exactly by concrete charges.
Okay. And I noticed you had your yes. Why did you believe he was guilty and got what he deserved?
Well, what is just something I from reading is that what is just isn't some abstract, definition. What is just is what society agrees is just, and I mean he was going against people who had the authority to define words. Like in the case of Socrates, as in the case, I think all things is what is just is whatever society says is just, and society says what he did was unjust.
Okay.
I think he did the morally right thing, but he did the unjust thing.
Okay. So, as Lincoln once said, both of you can't be right. Neither of you may be right, but both of you can't be right. So, this is a question that I want to continue today, to consider what the trial of Socrates means. And I want to begin by going back to a problem or a paradox that I ended the class with last time. That is to say that Socrates proposes, a new conception of what it is to be a citizen. He opposes, we have seen, the traditional, you might say, Homeric conception of the citizen, certain notions of citizen loyalty and patriotism, created, shaped by the poetic tradition going back to Homer. He wants to replace it with a new kind of, I want to call it rational citizenship, philosophical citizenship, a view of citizenship that, again, relies on one's own powers of independent reason and judgment. And in the course of defending this point of view, Socrates says in an interesting passage that he has spent his entire life pursuing private matters rather than public ones, and has deliberately avoided public issues, issues of politics. And that raises a question: how can a citizen, how can this new kind of citizenship that he is proposing, how can any kind of citizenship be devoted just to private matters and not public? Citizenship seems to require even the public sphere, the public realm. What does Socrates mean when he says his way of life has been devoted almost exclusively to private rather than to public matters? Well, the first thing we might think about is whether that's entirely true, whether he's being entirely candid with his audience. After all, the kind of investigations, the kind of interrogations that he has been pursuing since going to the Delphic Oracle and then following at least his interpretation of its mandate, these investigations of the politicians, the poets, the craftsmen, and the like, he says, these have been carried out in public. He has gone around in the market and in the open and in the public forum, questioning and interrogating and obviously making a variety